Some call me frugal. Others call me cheap. This is a story about how sometimes things are too good to be true. We'll start off with this monitor. This is our old computer monitor. I found a new one in an unlikely place. I just checked the sticker on this HP monitor. It says 2008. Sure, that's old for today's technology standards, but it's not old enough to replace. I mean, if it's not broken, why fix it, right? So, I mean, there's multiple monitors behind me. They're not fancy pants, but they work. But check this out. I was at the landfill with my daughter taking some trash out at the C&D construction and demolition cell. And look what I found. A gorgeous Samsung, it's even white, curved 24-inch monitor sitting there right next to our vehicle on an old sofa. And I thought, surely this is too good to be true. But look at this thing. I mean, what would you, this is exactly how it looked. Sure, the sticker is kind of peeled off, but it was just sitting there. The only guesswork was that there was no power supply. So I bought a power supply and I plugged it in and it worked. Great. Check this out. We're replacing this with this. Great. That's awesome. A week later, I come to the office and it's not working. What's going on? Well, I'm realizing things are too good to be true. Someone probably threw it out because it was broken. Even with the new power supply I was working, it stopped working. And then, while I was filming this video, my family decides to FaceTime me and I tell them what I'm doing. Tell them the story that I am recording for this video. And I realized that, wait a minute, if it worked with a new power supply, what if I just got the wrong power supply? I did get a cheap $10 one off Amazon. The Samsung ones were like $30 with shipping. So I went to Amazon and I got a knockoff for 10 bucks. And what if I'm still being cheap and frugal, but this is not too good to be true? So what I did is I put it over here. Everything. Ta-da! It works. Isn't that crazy? This is the monitor that I found in the landfill. It was garbage, essentially. And when I get the right power to it, it works. It's functional. It's great. It reminds me of the story about my life in finding Jesus, in finding salvation. You see, I was in the dumps. I was living a life of sin, guilt, condemnation, addiction to pornography for over 10 years, just struggling with alcohol, trying to fit in, trying to be cool, and doing things that really didn't make any sense. And I didn't think it made any sense for anyone to take my life and give me a new one. That would be way too good to be true. You see, I grew up knowing the gospel of Jesus, but I never had been able to fully plug it into my life. I think I plugged in a cheap power supply. That kind of sparked me up and it gave me life. It got me to know what it is, and then it failed and I stumbled. And I fell into this addiction that just made me live this two-faced life. You wouldn't know it from the outside. Throughout my entire middle school, high school, into college life, that I was living this slavery life, this life of bondage on the inside, this life of depression. On the outside, you wouldn't be able to tell. Now, how I tie this together with this monitor is that it was really too good to be true for someone to take my life and swap it out with a new one. And that's what God did with his son Jesus. He sent his son down on earth, lived a perfectly blameless life, and then he was sentenced to die, and 3 days after dying, he resurrected. And we have access to salvation through his resurrection. Romans 10:9 says, if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord, that he's the Son of God, and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. If you keep reading verse 10, for it is by believing in your heart that you are made right with God, and it is by openly declaring your faith that you are saved. Speaking the words out that you openly declare your faith is how you receive salvation. It doesn't cost you anything. It could cost you everything, but in comparison to value, I should say that this is the best deal of your life. Doesn't matter if you're cheap. It doesn't matter if you're loaded money bags. Salvation is the one deal that you can't pass up on. You have to take a moment to think about this. God has freedom waiting for you. All you have to do is ask him. All you have to do is say, God, I want to know that you're there. I want to know that you're real. If you want, you can pray with me right now. And you could say, Jesus, I really want to get to know you. I really want to know why you did this for me. And I want a new life. I want to live a new life with you. Please forgive me of my sins. And I believe that you are the Son of God. It could be formal like this, and it could just be, Jesus, show me that you're real. I don't believe in you, but prove me wrong. And you'll see, God is a good God. He is an amazing Father. He is going to come through in your life. And if you have questions, or if you have an amazing testimony because of this, please call or text me. My number is 907-315-2001. You can reach me directly, and I'd love to talk about what God's doing or what he's about to do in your life. Thanks, guys.